today on Jeff's podcast.
Last time, right after I shared with you about wisdom and the narrative of King Solomon praying and asking God for wisdom, he said, I feel like sitting on this throne in the place of my father David. I am like a little child who doesn't know where to go. You know, the next morning after recording that podcast, I opened my Bible for my daily devotion and I came to Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 7. And this is the first verse that I read. It jumped off the page at me. Has it ever happened for you? As it jumped off the page at me, the Lord began to speak to me. He said these words out of Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 7. But the Lord said to me, do not say, I am a youth, for you shall go to all to whom I send you, and whatever I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, says the Lord. And the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. And God gives him this word. Behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. And then he turns his attention back to Jeremiah. And he says, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And he said, I see a branch of an almond tree. Then the Lord said to me, you have seen well, for I am ready to perform my word. So, I tell you what, the Lord does this to me on a regular basis, and I so enjoy when God takes his word that was written centuries ago and applies it directly to the canvas of my heart and speaks something powerful into me that perhaps means something to me that it doesn't mean to anyone else. He said, don't say I am a youth, Jeremiah. And it was so fitting that I read this the day after that I shared with you about Solomon's observations and his confession to the Lord that he felt like but a child, even though he was given this great responsibility, and he prayed for wisdom, and God granted him that wisdom. And we talked about, where does wisdom come from? You know, it is my experience that nothing that the Lord calls me or equips me to do am I qualified for based on the criteria of man or society. I'm never qualified to do what God has placed in my hand. He does not call the qualified, one preacher said. He qualifies the called. And that seems to be a theme that builds in the call narratives of some of the greatest prophets of the Bible, Jeremiah being one of them. Jeremiah is called of the Lord, and he says in verse 6 of Jeremiah 1 in his call narrative, Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am but a youth. I'm not qualified. And I think that sometimes that you and I, when the Lord speaks and whispers into our ear and plants a seed in our today for the accomplishments of our tomorrow, that we take our lack of qualification and we turn it into an inferiority. That lack of qualification being a thought, but the inferiority gets down into your heart and it becomes an emotion. Sometimes emotions override the thought process. It's okay to acknowledge to the Lord in a spirit of humility, Lord, I am not qualified to do what you've set before me. But when that becomes an inferiority emotion, sometimes we will allow the emotion to overcome what we know in our heart and our head. And I think that's why that God cut Jeremiah off in verse 7 and said, listen to me. Don't say that you're a youth. In other words, don't say that you are inferior, that you are unqualified, that you're not equipped, because I am going to put my word into your mouth, and you are going to eat what I put into your mouth. And the Lord touched Jeremiah's lips, and he put his word into his mouth. That's powerful. It's powerful because if God says to you, you're going to do X, Y, Z, you have to understand that God is going to equip you, He's going to empower you, He's going to qualify you, and He's going to put His word in your mouth. That is such an encouragement to me, because sometimes I've struggled with feeling inferior to the office that I hold. I felt it as a pastor. I felt it as an evangelist. Anytime I've held a place in ministry, a calling, a title, an office, every single time, every single appointment, I have felt inferior to the office in which I held. Just like Solomon did when he said, Lord, I feel like I'm just but a child sitting on the throne of King David. And in my case, and perhaps in yours, the enemy can really use that. The enemy can use that inferiority emotion to override what you know God has said to you. And God has to remind you, like He did Jeremiah in verse 7, listen to what I'm saying to you. Don't say, I am a youth. In other words, don't speak it. Do not verbalize the emotion that you are feeling. Do not verbalize your inferiority, because I'm going to touch your mouth, and when I do, I'm going to put my word in your mouth, and wherever I command you, whatever I command you, you shall speak. Powerful, powerful. And so he gives Jeremiah part of the word, and then come down to verse 11. He says, moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? He's asking Jeremiah a question. And listen to the question he asked. What do you see? He's saying, Jeremiah, I've put a vision before you. I've put a snapshot before you of what tomorrow holds. Do you see it? What do you see, Jeremiah? What is your vision? And if I can just go back to the last podcast for a minute and grasp hold of that truth of vision. What is your vision? What do you see? If God has set a vision before you, you have to open your eyes and see what God has said before you, and you must not see it through the eyes of your inferiority or your youth, but see it through the eyes of the Holy Spirit. And Jeremiah looked, he said, Lord, I see the branch of an almond tree. God said, you've seen well. There are several important things I want to note about this almond tree. We know that Jeremiah is getting ready to prophesy judgment upon Israel, because that's what God had sent him to do. But the almond tree is indicative of fresh new life. Did you know that it is the first of the budding trees to bring forth fruit and to bring forth leaves in the winter, right after the winter season, even at the end of winter? It is historically the first budding tree to bring forth its leaves. It represents resurrection. It represents new life. It represents revival. And so when Jeremiah sees this budding almond branch, God is showing him that new life can come out of the winter season, the cold and dark season. I don't know about you, but I know what it's like to be in a winter season. Perhaps you have been in that winter season. Perhaps you've been in that season of drought and that season of cold calamity. But I want to tell you today that God has brought you to the place where He wants to reveal to you the budding almond branch. He wants to show you a vision of your tomorrow. He's going to bring new life out of your barrenness. He's going to bring resurrection out of your winter season. He's going to bring revival out of what seemed like death and darkness. God is going to perform His word. It's a reminder that what He's promised you in the daytime and what He's reminded you of in the nighttime, He'll bring to pass. He will bring it to pass. I heard Carmen preaching about John the Baptist years ago as a teenager, and I never forgot it. He said that he was telling John the Baptist in that jail cell when he called for his disciples and saying, don't forget in the darkness what you heard in the light. And I would encourage you with that. Don't forget in the winter season what God promised you in the summer and autumn time. He's going to bring it to pass. That's the sign of the almond branch, the first branch to bear leaves after the winter is over. It's coming time for the winter to be over and for the spring, the season of new life, the season of resurgence, the season of blessing to come. God said, Jeremiah, what do you see? He said, I see an almond branch. I see an almond branch. And the Lord said, you have seen well, for, listen to this, for I am ready to perform my word. Some of you, I can sense that in the midnight hour, you've wrung your hands and you've questioned God. In the winter season, your promise, your vision has become dormant, and you wondered what God was doing inside you and wondered if you had misread the voice of the Lord, or maybe you were seeing things and God didn't really give you a vision of tomorrow because of the winter season that seemed to hit in just a moment without any warning, and you've wondered in the winter if spring would come. And I'm telling you, here in this middle of this springtime, late spring, early summer, this beginning of June, as the weather is getting warm around us atmospherically, I believe that the season is also changing in the spirit. There are seasons in the spirit just as there are seasons in the atmosphere. The springtime has come and begun to give us hope again that life is surrounding us, hope that there's life in us, hope that we are able to break out of our shell and out of our box and begin to walk in the blessings of the Lord. The summertime has come in the natural, and I've come to tell you today that the summertime has come in the spirit realm. God is saying to you that the almond tree is budding, and I am ready to perform my word. What is it? What is his word? It's the word that he put in you when he touched your lips. When God gave you your calling, when he placed a vision before you, he touched your lips and put his word in your mouth, and you spoke and you prophesied his word. God says, I'm ready to perform my word. You've been watching, you've been waiting, you've been praying, you've been fasting, you've been travailing, you've been questioning, you've been toiling, but now I am ready to perform my word. There's nothing left to do, my friends, but to sit back and watch God do what he promised he would do. Nothing left to cry over, nothing left to travail over. God has heard your prayer, and he's telling you, stop feeding yourself the lie of inferiority. Stop telling yourself that you're not capable. Stop telling yourself that youth is against you and wisdom is against you and qualification is against you. Stop saying that. I'm going to touch your lips and I'm going to change all of that. I'm going to give you exactly what you need. The quickest way, I should say, that the enemy can take and break your focus off of what God is doing in your life is to begin to tell you why you're not qualified, why you're not ready, why you're not equipped. It seems to me that when he put Solomon on the throne, Solomon wasn't ready, but God made him ready. He said, ask me what you want and I'll give it to you. Solomon said, Lord, give me wisdom. Jeremiah, when he was called of God in Jeremiah chapter 1, it would seem that he wasn't ready. God said, don't worry about it. Don't talk about your your lack of readiness. Don't talk about your inferiority. Don't talk about your deficits. I'm going to touch your mouth, and I'm going to put my word in your mouth, and you're going to be ready. I want to encourage you today. God is ready to perform his word. He's given you the vision. He's brought the winter to an end. And he's ready to perform his word. Are you ready? Are you ready for God to do what he promised you that he would do? Are you ready for God to put in the natural what he promised you in the spirit? Are you ready to reap the blessings of the seed that has been planted and the harvest that is coming forward? Are you ready for the summer? That's what I'm going to call this podcast. Are you ready for summer? Are you ready for the summer in the spirit? The season of rest and the season of blessings, the season of the harvest coming forth from the seeds that are planted. The almond branch is budding. New life has come. Revival has come. You know, I want to thank God for his blessings during this winter season, in the spirit and in the natural. I want to thank God that he's blessed his people. His word said in Deuteronomy 28 that he would bless us going in and bless us coming out, that we would be the head and not the tail, that he would bless the work of our hands, that he would bless us in everything that we do. God has in fact blessed the church. I talk to pastors all over the country and I ask them, how is the church doing? How is ministry changed during this global pandemic? This last 15 months of ministry has been unlike anything. It's unprecedented to those who are in our lifetime. And I want to know, what's God doing in the church? And one after another, pastors are telling me that even though their attendance obviously took a huge hit and that some, as many as 50% of their members have not yet come back to physical church, yet God has caused them to break tithe records, that their attendance has gone down, but their giving has gone up. That is an indication. You want to know the health of a church? It's not the number of bodies in the pew necessarily, but it's the mark of the financial blessing of God upon that body. When people give, they are spiritually mature and connected. Now, I'm not telling you not to go back to church. I'm telling you that God has sustained the church. He sustained your family. He sustained my family. As a result, we have given over and abundantly, and God has continued to bless his church. Now I understand why Jesus said that upon this rock, Peter, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. God is bringing about the blessing of a spiritual summer season. As I scroll social media periodically, I love reading memes and looking at things that are humorous. I love dad jokes. I collect dad jokes, and I call my children to tell them. I've always been the connoisseur of dad jokes. And, you know, sometimes I see these memes dealing with, summertime wants you to have your body ready, but, you know, everyone's put on the COVID 30 or 35 or 40. So everyone's worried about whether or not their body is ready for the beach. Honey, I'm telling you right now, if I go to the beach, it's just going to be me and Jesus and the beach, I guess. I've come to a place in my life, I'm not really concerned about that, but I am concerned about the readiness of my spirit man for the summer season. I can promise my spirit man is more ready for the summer season than my physical man is ready for the summer season in the natural, but I'm ready for the blessings of God. Aren't you? I want you to be lifted up today. I want you to be encouraged today. I want you to wipe away the fog that is still lingering from your winter and see the almond branch budding and listen to God as he says, I am ready to perform my word. Are you ready for summer? I hope you are. God bless you today. I want to mention to you before we go that my brand new book, Mindemic, How Faith Can Help Us Overcome the Anxiety and a Depression Crisis in America, was released on Amazon last Friday. It's available there. You can go directly to the Amazon page where the book is on sale by just going in your web browser and typing mindemic.org. It's just like pandemic, only mind, MINDEMIC, mindemic.org. It'll take you right to the Amazon page. Help us to get to number 1 on the new release chart in the category of Christian pastoral counseling is the category that it is doing well in. We reached number 14 over the weekend, and it fluctuates, but I want to get to number 1 and to eventually get on the bestsellers list in that category. Help me do that, would you? It's $14.99 on Amazon. Leave your review there, mindemic.org. I'm excited about it. I hope it ministers to you. I hope that God uses it to break the cycle of anxiety and depression and intangible emotional pain in your life. God bless you. Have a great weekend and a great week. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in today. Remember to subscribe to the podcast on any major podcast platform or Jeff's YouTube channel. For more information about this ministry, visit us at jeffwolf.org. Just released is Jeff's newest book, 10 Reasons Why. You can get it free by texting the keyword RESTORED to 833-649-1545. Message and data rates may apply. We'll see you next week. Be blessed.